Good morning. I'm Bridget, I'm the local vicar, and I'm delighted to join you for virtual worship once again. Let me start by asking you a question. What is it that's keeping you going at the moment? For me, the thing that's keeping me going is regular swimming. Over the summer, I went for the first time to Beckenham Place Park, where there is an outdoor swimming lake, and I absolutely loved it. So I decided I would keep going 2 or 3 times a week through September, October and now into November. At one point I was concerned that it might get rather cold swimming outside in the lake in the autumn and then the winter, so I bought myself this wetsuit, but so far, you'll see the labels on it, I haven't actually used it. I've really been enjoying the challenge of swimming in cold water, seeing whether I can bear to get into a freezing cold lake, seeing whether I've got the inner strength to stick with it and to swim around the lake even on a cold day. And so far, so good. It's really good to test yourself and see whether you can put up with something like that. I have to say though, it does take quite a while to recover afterwards. I have to put on a woolly hat, have a hot drink, 2 jumpers, a big thick coat, and it probably takes about an hour and a half until I'm warm again. But I love it. At the moment in your worship, you're thinking about resilience. And when I hear the word resilience, it makes me think about our ability to cope when life is difficult, when situations are testing, a bit like your ability to put up with cold water if you swim outside in winter. So I suppose resilience has with it the idea of inner strength. Have we got what it takes to keep going when life is hard? Now, if you look at what the Bible has to say about resilience, it doesn't talk about our inner strength. It actually talks about God's strength. The Bible's idea of resilience is that God strengthens us when life is difficult. Let me read you a few of the things that the Bible has to say about resilience. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Do not fear, for I am with you. I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I can do all this through him, that's God, who gives me strength. And finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. A lot of us are having our resilience tested at the moment. Many of us are finding that life is hard, whether you are a pupil or a teacher, or whether we're thinking about someone in our families. And this is a moment when we need to remember that we don't have to do this in our own strength. We don't have to get through it alone. We can actually ask God to strengthen us when we need his help. Whenever I find life hard, I ask God for help. Whenever I find work hard, I ask God for help. But I think it's also worth offering a word of caution here as well. The first time that I ever learnt about resilience was in a science lesson. I think it was physics. And it was that experiment that you do with springs where you hang weights on the bottom of the spring to see how far the spring will stretch down and whether it will spring back up afterwards. Of course, I remember there was a point in the experiment where if you hung too many weights onto the bottom of the spring, it would overstretch and it would lose its spring, which would mean it wouldn't spring back up again. In effect, the spring was broken, it was stretched too far. I think the same can be true for us as people. Yes, we can cope with an awful lot by drawing on our own inner strength. Yes, we can cope with even more by drawing on God's strength, but sometimes we are actually in danger of being overstretched. And those are the times where we need to tell others that there is too much weight we're being asked to carry and that we need help. It may be that you talk to an adult at home, to an adult at school, or a friend, somebody else. I know for me over the past year there have been several occasions where I have felt in danger of being overstretched because of all the extra challenges because of COVID. I've spoken to friends to tell them I'm feeling overstretched. I've spoken to colleagues. I've spoken to my boss, the bishop, and asked for help. And I've even spoken to the doctor too. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed if you feel like you're about to be overstretched. Resilience is about drawing on that strength, but resilience also knows and speaks up when you know you're about to be stretched too far. Don't allow yourself to be overstretched. Do ask for help. It's great that we can draw on our inner reserves. It's great that we can draw on God's strength, and it's great that we can draw on the people around us when we're finding life hard. As I said at the start, one of the things that's keeping me going is the joy, the challenge, the shock of swimming in cold water. Unfortunately, the lake had to shut for lockdown, but fingers crossed it will be back open at the start of December. And until then, I'm having to take daily showers in cold water just to get my crazy cold water rush. I can heartily recommend it to you. In fact, I dare you, the next time you have a shower, turn the water down to cold. How long can you cope with it? It's fantastic. Take care. Thank you for listening, and God bless you this week.